Okay, now here's your assignment that you had yesterday. Okay. And don't put your name on like the actual assignment part because I don't want your name on it in the video. So, and that's good you didn't. You just put your name like on the example sheets, okay? And then when I go to the video, because I don't want your name on the video, okay? Good. Okay. Now what you're gonna do is tear these gently, kind of separate these from their staple. And the number 4 is the first problem that we're going to want to look at. Okay, so just go in this part right here and let's examine. Now, one thing you don't ever want to do, you don't ever want to add the number that's right in front of the X with no sign in between. Well, the good way to avoid that is on this piece of paper, you're going to go here. You're going to make your wall. And then if there's a number in front of the X with no sign between them, you're going to put a dot and you're going to circle that. And that tells me, okay, I don't add or subtract that number. Okay, neither one. Instead, what I do is take between the 4 and the circle is the plus sign. So the 4 is the number that I need to subtract. Okay, I need to minus 4. And that goes away from there. And then I minus 4 from 14. So line up your equals. So 14 minus 4 is 10. And then you got negative 2 times x. Okay. Now x is only being timesed or multiplied, so I go ahead and divide. Another thing, when you divide, always put the number that's with the x under your lines. Don't put the 10. Put the negative 2. So now I line up my equals and x is by itself, and I divide 10 by negative 2. That's going to be the answer. So 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. And that's your answer. So 2 things to watch out for on that problem. So again, if your x doesn't have, again, that means multiply, so don't add or subtract that number here. You want to maybe circle that so you know that this is a number you add or subtract. Okay, another thing when you're lying, yeah. Okay, now let's look at number 6. Okay, number 6, there's one thing you're missing here. You want to, the side of the x, the side of the equals the x on, you're going to make your wall. And I don't care about this 10 over here, so I don't want to minus the 10 because that's not on the same side as the x. So make your wall. And x is being divided by 4, but there's an 8 being minus. Again, I'll circle the division, so we know we don't add or subtract 4. But if I'm deciding what to add, subtract, it's the number on the side of the equals that the x is. See, 10 isn't on that side, 8 is. So I do the opposite of minus 8, which is plus 8, okay? And then I go ahead and add 10 to 8. Okay, so 10 plus 8 is going to be, it's going to be 18 equals x divided by 4. See, the problem is if you take negative 18 times 4, you get negative 72, and that answer is close. But when I times 4, then I times the other side by 4, I line up my equals. And 4 times 18 is 72, positive 72, so x equals 72. So again, line up your wall, okay, on the side of the x. It's whatever side the x is on, so I know only numbers on the numbers that come from over here is where I add or subtract. Okay, not the one over there because that's not with the x. Okay, number 7. Number 7's the same deal going on here, okay. So again, make your wall, line up your equals, and got the division. So the number, I don't care about the 26. The 26 isn't on that side, okay? So what I care about is the plus 5 between the 5 and the circle. So I minus 5, and then I minus 5 over here. So 26 minus 5 is 21. And then over here I've got x divided by 6. And then I'm going to multiply by 6 because x is being divided. Then 6 times 21, line up your equals. It's going to be 126. So instead of negative 126, it's positive 126. Because when you add or subtract the wrong number, the number that isn't with the x, then you end up with the wrong negative positive on your answer. Okay, and then number 8's the same idea. Remember, the negative 8's not on the side of the x. Okay, so I don't really care what number's over here. It's all about this side here. So x is being divided by 5, and then between the x divided by 5 and the 2 is a plus sign. So the 2 is the number I have to get rid of, not the negative 8. So I go minus 2, minus 2. So I line up my equals, and I've got x divided by 5. Now remember, that's a negative 8, okay? Negative 8 minus 2 is negative 10. Okay, so divide, the opposite of divide is to multiply. So multiply by 5. Those cancel. And negative 10 times 5 is negative 50. So as you can see, if you compare that with your answer, it's negative 50, and we got positive. The reason why the sign's wrong on that one is because we did the wrong number. Okay, it's the number on the side of the x that has to go. The side of the equals that the x is. Okay, so make sure you got those notes down for the corrections. And you're going to work on some more of these today before I move you on. It wasn't all bad. You knew a lot of it. You just got to remember to add or subtract the right number, and also to put the right number when you divide. Okay, so I'm solving for x. Now, line up. I'm only care about the numbers on this side. Okay, I don't care about, don't do anything with that negative 28 when you're trying to get rid of things. So x is being multiplied by negative 5. Remember, we don't add or subtract the negative 5. That's a multiplying number. But between the 2 and the circle, you got a plus sign, so you got to deal with the 2, not the negative 28. Okay, don't do anything with that. Make your wall. So I have minus 2, minus 2. So 2 minus 2 is 0. Line up your equals, and over here you got negative 5 times x. And then remember, 28 is negative, so I go negative 28 minus 2 to get negative 30. And then x is being multiplied. Now when you divide, make sure you put the number with the x under the lines, not the other number. It's the number with the x. So negative 5. Negative 5, because I can now forget those. And then I divide negative 30 by negative 5, and that gives me 6. So that's my answer, x equals 6. Okay, next problem. So what do we have? We have x divided by 3, okay? So I circle that so I know I don't plus or minus 3, okay? That's a divider. Now, the 7 and the 5, we do the one that's on the side of the wall with the x. That would be 5. So between the 5 and the circle is a plus 5. So you minus 5, and then minus 5 from 7. So I line up my equals. 7 minus 5 is 2. And over here I've got x divided by 3. Now, the only thing that's happening to x is it's being divided by 3. So I do the opposite of divide by 3, which is times 3. Then I take 2 times 3, and that's 6. So you got 6, and then x is all by itself here. So that's your answer. Okay, next problem. 8 plus x divided by 3 equals negative 5. So only numbers over here are the ones I'm looking at, not the negative 5, okay? So x is being divided by 3. And there's all between the 8 and the circle, you got a plus sign, okay? So I do the opposite of plus 8, which is to minus 8. And then I go minus 8 from here. Notice how I'm not doing the negative 5. I got to do the 8 because that's on the side of the wall with the x. So 8 minus 8 is 0. And on this side, I've got x divided by 3. Now over on the other side, I take negative 5 minus 8, it's negative 13. Okay, then the only thing that's happening to x is it's being divided, so I do the opposite of divide, which is times 3. And then I multiply the other number by 3, and then x is by itself. Okay, so nothing's happening to x now, I just need to find what negative 13 times 3 is. So negative 39. And that's your answer for x. Okay, next problem. Remember, the 2 and the x, there's no sign. That means 2 times x, so we don't add or subtract the 2. Don't plus 2, okay? Because you got at what's happening to x. It's being multiplied by negative 2, and you also have a 6 being added to that expression. So remember, it's the 6, not the negative 16. That's on the other side of the equals. So the 6 is on the same side of the equals. So I subtract 6. Subtract 6. Remember, not adding 16. Don't plus 16 because that's not on the same side of the equals as our x is. So I line that up. We take negative 16 minus 6, and that's negative 22. And over here you got negative 2 times x. Remember, just because you see that negative doesn't mean you plus 2. Okay, the 2 between the 2 and the x is no sign at all. It means multiplication. And when you divide, then, because all that's happening to x now is it's being multiplied. Remember to put the number with the x under the lines. Okay, so I'm going to want to see that number with the x goes under each line. Because we get rid of those, then we have x by itself, and then I take negative 22. Divided by negative 2, and that gives me 11. So x equals 11. Okay, next problem, solving for x. So remember, x is on this side of the equals over here. There's 2 things happening to it. It's being multiplied times by 3. So I circle that, and there's a 5 being added to it. Okay. So first I got to take care of the 5, not the 17, because the 17 is on the other side. Okay, it's the 5. So the opposite of plus 5 is to minus 5. Equals, and 17 minus 5 is 12, but then over here you still got 3 times x. Now, the opposite of times is divide, so we're going to divide. Remember to put the number with the x under the lines, not 12, it's got to be 3. Okay, and then 12 divided by 3 is going to be 4. So x is equal to 4. Okay, next one's a little bit tough. Okay, negative 8 plus x divided by 2 equals negative 3. So x is on over here on the left side. So these are the numbers I'm worried about, not that one. I'm not worried about the negative 3, so don't plus 3. Okay, so I circle the division part, the multiplier or the divider, either one. Up here you had a multiplier, so I circled that. Here you had a divider, so I circled that. Now, outside between the negative 8 and the circle is a plus sign, so the opposite of plus negative 8 would be to minus negative 8. So I put minus and then a negative 8 in parentheses, and then I do the same thing on the other side. So when I minus a negative, it goes plus plus, and then we get rid of it. Then I drop my equals, and we have x divided by 2. Now over on the other side, just with the 8, not the 3. 3 only has one negative in front of it. The 8 has minus negative, so plus plus, and then I take negative 3 plus 8. It's 5. Okay, now x is only being multiplied, so we divide by 2. We divided, so we multiply by 2, excuse me. And then we multiply our 5 by 2. 5 times 2 is 10. So x is equal to 10. Okay, and on the other side, x is over here. Okay, so right in front of the x you have a 5. That means 5 times. So we don't do anything, we don't add or subtract the 5 since it's a multiplier. Now between negative 16 and the circle, you got to remember, you don't care about negative 41 at all. Okay, that's on the other side. I don't care what that number is. I care about this one. So between the negative 16 and the circle is a plus. So I do the opposite of plus, which is to minus negative 16. Not just minus 16, it's got to be minus negative 16. Then I go over here, minus negative 16. So over here you got plus plus. And over here you got plus plus. So I line up my equals, and on this side I've got 5 times x. On the other side, we're going to take negative 41 and add positive 16. You just hit plus 16, and that's negative 25. Now, x is multiplied. Now, please remember, when you multiply, you make the lines, and you put the number with the x under the lines every single time. So equals, and you have x. And then I take negative 25 divided by 5, and that's negative 5. So there's your solution. Okay, last one. Then I'm going to help you out through the assignment a little bit. 7 equals x divided by negative 3 plus 5. So the x is on the right side. So I don't care about the 7. Okay, don't minus 7 or any of that stuff, okay? Okay, so you got dividing, so don't add or subtract that number, but outside, between the 5 and the circle is a plus sign. So we do the opposite of plus 5, which is minus 5. That's the one that goes away, the one on the side of the x. The other one stays. So equals, and then I take 7 minus 5, so that side goes to 2. And over here you got x divided by negative 3. Now you have x is being divided by negative 3, so the opposite of divide by negative 3 would be to times by negative 3. So line up your equals. Negative 3 times 2 is negative 6, and then you got x. Okay, now on this part, I'll get you started here. I want you to do this along with me, okay? So the x is over here. Circle your divider, okay? And that's the number you get rid of first, the plus 2. Wall. Now you have a multiplying number when you have it in the front of the x with no sign in between the x and the negative 9. So that's a times. So I want you to put a dot and circle it. Remember, that's the one you get rid of, not that one. That's on the. This is on the side of the x. Wall. Circle either your multiplier or divider. You got a divider here. Remember, and also mark out that 2 because that's the number. That's the one on the side of the x. Okay. Put an arrow. By the way, go up here and put an arrow with the number that's on the x side because that's the number you're going to get rid of. Same with that one. Okay, wall goes up. Now, mark out your multiplier or divider. So we got multiply by negative 4. Put the little dot between the two and circle. And then this is the number here we go after, not that one. Because that's on the side of the x. Okay, number 5. Make your wall. Mark out your multiplier and circle it, and then mark the other number on that side, not the 31. So you'll know, okay, I got to get rid of the plus 7, not the 31. Okay, wall goes up, X is on the left, circle the divider. Circling it helps to tell you, okay, I know I don't add or subtract that number. It's this one right there, okay, because that's on the side of the X. If you're wondering why the negative 6, why not the negative 5? Because the negative 5 is on the other side of the equals. Okay, number 7, got a multiplier there. Circle it, make the wall, and then mark the other number out over there. You got to add or subtract that one. It's plus 10, you would minus 10. Sorry, that's not a dot there. It's me scribbling something out. Okay, so X is on this side. I circle the divider. And the other number over there on that side is 8. So that's the one we got to get rid of. Okay. Now solve these equations. And remember when you're drawing those lines, when you divide, okay. So like you ended up getting this one right, you know. So I guess whatever, but remember the number with the X is what you got to put under the lines. 3. Okay, 3 and 3. You end up getting that right, but again, just make sure. See, like here you did this one right. The number with the X was 4, so that's 4, 4. That's right. Okay.